All right, we're going to discuss vector addition of forces utilizing the parallelogram law. So basically, if you have F1 and you add F2, how to find the resultant force, or FR. So let's say we had F1 and F2. So the parallelogram law basically allows us to draw a parallelogram utilizing these two forces, and the hypotenuse is going to be equal to the resultant force. So we draw F2 parallel to the original F2 at the tip of F1. And you do the same thing to F1. So parallel F1 at the tip of F2. Now you have a parallelogram. And this hypotenuse right here is your resultant force. So now what we can do is utilize trig to solve for the resultant force. So we have this triangle, F1, F2, and the resultant force. And so now this is not a right triangle in most cases. So we have to use the law of sines and cosines to solve for the resultant force and its respective direction. So let's go over those laws really quickly. So if you had a triangle, side length A, B, and C, where C is always the hypotenuse of the triangle, or the longest side. So the angle opposite of B is considered lowercase b, angle B. This is considered angle C, and this is considered angle A. So the sine law is the ratio of A, capital A, over the sine of A is this equal to side length B divided by the sine of B, and side length C divided by the sine of C. And now the cosine law is side length C is equal to the square root of side length A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. So basically we have this triangle, and we would have the directions of F1 and F2, and so we can use that to solve for this angle right here, angle C, because it's opposite of the hypotenuse. So once we have that angle, we can use the law of cosines to determine the magnitude of the resultant force. Okay, so we'll do examples in the next section, but this can be combined. So we can do addition of several forces using this method. So let's say we had F1 plus F2 plus F3. So if this is our origin, and we had F1, and we had F3, and we had F2 over here. So the first thing we can do is solve for F1 plus F2. So if we make our little parallelogram with F1 and F2, we find that F1 plus F2 is this. I'll call that FR12. So now we can make another parallelogram of FR12, because that's the F1 plus F2, and then F3 to get our final. So make another parallelogram. R1, 2, and F3. So this hypotenuse is your final resultant force. So you just keep using that parallelogram law until you find this final addition of all three forces.